Folks, welcome back. My name is Rudy. You're watching I try to discuss real topics that make people unhappy in the infamous Rudy Whiteboard monthly video. Today's topic is going to be a little interesting. The topic is going to be why. People ask me, Rudy, comment something about real estate. Why is that happening? Okay. Rudy, comment something about old magic cards. Why is that happening? Rudy, comment something about this new, all these new hot startup games, these Flesh and Bloods and MetaZoos. Why is it, what's with this phenomena? You know, and so that's really going to be the concept of this video today, everybody, is to really go over some of the more specifics on why I believe some of these events and price movements and things are occurring in mid-2021. This is the beginning of August 2021. Hopefully you see this video somewhere around mid-August 2021. So first we're going to start off with the simplest topic, which is real estate. So now that we're going to get into it, I am going to act like a professional. So I am going to put on the world famous Rudy pink visor, so you know it's a serious video, and we're not going to be doing giggities and talking about stepmoms and people getting stuck in dryers and couches or in windows. This is going to be a real video. You're not supposed to smile. You're not supposed to enjoy this. So as always, if you want real financial advice, actually seek someone who's got like those licenses and the government thinks is real and doesn't live in their parents' basement, because again, I'm an entertainer. Spend all my money on the visor. So we're going to talk about real estate first. Rudy, what do you think the long-term implications are of investors in Wall Street starting to buy out all these houses all over the United States? Why is this happening? What do you think this is going to lead to? And what are your concerns? And I said, okay. Well, that's a great why question. So first, let's talk about the obvious. All these regular little houses all over the United States, that's what a house looks like. There's me. There's my hat. And if you haven't noticed, real estate market's going crazy. Mostly a lot of the influence is due to institutional money coming from large corporations, all these invitation homes, BlackRock, and they're putting billions of dollars buying out real estate all over the United States, specifically in locations like Colorado, Florida, Texas. Not as much in places like California, New York, New Jersey, but more of the more tax-friendly, business-friendly locations around the U.S., and they are going very, very aggressively. Why is this happening, and what does this mean for regular families? So this is going to be a pretty nasty thing a lot of people may not realize. So you need to get this. This institutional money doesn't have much of a budget. They don't care about... Okay, let's just go into it, shall we? Let's just take a real example here, okay? Does this marker work? This marker does work. We're gonna do pretty blue to make everybody feel good on the inside. Timmy and his wife, Tammy. 2 T's? Timmy and Tammy want to buy this house right here, okay? Here's the problem. This house is $300,000. Timmy and Tammy have been saving their money and say, Rudy, you know, we got to do 20% down so we don't have to pay PMI on our mortgage, which is mortgage insurance if you default. It's a waste of $100, $200 a month. You always have to do 20% down to avoid that. And of course, there are all these special programs to get around it. So, Timmy and Tammy need to put 20% down to buy this $300K house. That's $60K they have to put down to take out a mortgage of $240K. We're going to just leave closing costs and all the other foo-foo out. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to pretend it's a brand new house, no repairs, everything's brand new. Okay? The actual use, the dirt, the roof is brand new, the AC is brand new, it's a new construction. You have to worry about usable parts, you have to worry about how much life expectancy is left in any of the items, new property. Here's the problem. Timmy and Tammy go to see the house. They love it. They say, you know what, we'll pay you the full $300,000 asking price for this new house. We want it. Okay? All of a sudden, here he comes. The big bad Wall Street man comes over here. I don't know why he's got weird arms. And he's got a triangle hat. Do evil people have triangle hats? I don't know. And he's got a mean face on. And he says, you know what? Screw that. We'll take the house for $400K. What? So all of a sudden, he throws $400K at this house that's worth $300K. Appraisal comes back. The bank says, sure, house is worth $300K, so all you need is 20% down. We will give you a mortgage, 80%. 80% loan to ratio, all that crap, 80-20. So here's the problem, folks, what the public is not seeing. When Wall Street comes in and throws a bid of $400, the appraisal on the property normally still shows $300K. They don't care because they're paying cash. Well, here's the problem. Timmy and Tammy say, fine, we'll take the house, we'll pay $401K, final offer, and they back away. Evil Wall Street guy backs away. Now here's the problem. The appraisal is most likely still going to be set because it was already performed at $300K. It's going to go to the bank and the underwriters, and that property that's worth $300K is only qualified to have an 80% loan on it. 80% loan means the mortgage, the bank is only going to issue a mortgage for $240K because the bank says it's worth $300K from their independent appraisal. Now that you're paying $401K, the bank doesn't come back and say, our bad. Okay, we're going to give you know what, this $240 for the mortgage? No, you offered $401. We're going to give you a mortgage for $320K. No. Doesn't work that way. That's a big fat red X. That's a giant rubber black tire. It just doesn't work that way. That's a funny giggity. Come on, give me a little fun. So here's what's really going to happen. In order for Timmy and Tammy to buy this house, the mortgage is still only going to be $240. So their down payment of $60K is no longer valid. Now, this $400,000 purchase, which the bank will give them $240, the $60K that they saved their life savings to purchase, they now need a down payment of how much, folks? Boom. You ready? Boom. They have to have a down payment of $161,000, which the average person is not going to have. So just because the house price went up 20-something%, their down payment went up 300% or 250%. You start to see this here. So here's the problem with this stuff. The Wall Street evil guy with a triangle hat over here, they know that the regular people trying to buy this house with their giant top hat with Timmy and Tammy, they know those people are not going to have $160K. So they know if they overbid, these people, Timmy and Tammy, or regular people like you all watching, cannot compete. They know this. It's skewed. It's not an accident. They know by overbidding, they lock in the new property and they don't give two Fs because these Wall Street people, trust me, have lines of credit, LOCs. These people are going to have, oh my goodness, they're going to have commercial lines of credit, maybe backed by collateralized paper or Fed funds window, whatever stupid stuff. They're going to have probably a line of credit for, let's say, $1 billion, okay? Let's say evil hat people have a line of credit of $1 billion. Let's say their interest rate is 2%, which actually is probably going to be less than that with Fed funds at what? A quarter? What's Fed funds? A half? 25, 50 basis points, whatever it is. The government is going to lend big triangle evil people at, let's say, 0.5%. So their cost is 0.5. The bank is going to give this private equity group, they're going to lend the money at 2%. So the bank is going to net 1.5, what they call their NIM. Their net interest margin on there is going to be 1.5. So the bank is going to get money from the government at 0.5. They're going to lend it to this division of evil triangle people, and they're going to triple their money from 0.5 to 2, netting 1.5. Then they're going to turn around and just buy the living shit out of everything. It's pretty scary, isn't it? It's pretty effing scary. That's what's happening. That's why it's a big deal. This is what is frustrating to me because you can't discuss this stuff. People don't want to hear it. People don't understand it. People don't want to watch long, boring videos with guys with triangle hats and Timmys and Tammys and pink visors from the 80s. I like the sound of that. I can hear my own brain moving. That's how much empty space is up there. You see what I'm getting at? That it's so complicated. It's not a simple thing of just, oh, people are overbidding the houses because they're worth that. No, when you have an outside influence of billions of dollars that's accessible from the government and it was 0%, anything below 3 or 4%, in my opinion, is free tendies. It's free money. If you can borrow $1 billion at 1 or 2%, dude, you can buy a single A, double A rated bond and get 3% and net 1% on $1 billion. You're rich. You're done. You're set for life. That's literally all it takes. It's that stupid. You have to understand, economies of scale. When these numbers get big, all the normal rules you and I were taught go out the window. It becomes completely, utterly insane, folks. I don't know how else to say. Anyways, part 2 of this video, moving forward here. I wanted to paint this example to let you all know what happens when you're trying, Timmy and Tammy, the regular person wants to buy a house for 300K, and triangle evil-headed people come in with unlimited money, and they just throw 400 and they get the deal. That's why you can't compete. It's not, oh, 3 to 400? Okay, so 20% of 300K, that's 60K down. My wife and I have saved that. No big deal. Oh, 400K? Instead of 60K, all we need is 80K for 20% of 400, right? So we just need 20K more. Wrong. You now need 161K. So you spent your whole life saving 60, you now need 160. All because you moved from 3 to 400, but because the bank is not willing to lend on the inflated price. The reason banks aren't willing to lend on the inflated price is because they dealt with this stuff in 08, 07 with subprime. They have all kinds of stricter standards and loan to debt ratios and all this equity stupid stuff. The point is, the appraisal is going to come back based on XYZ. Now, all of a sudden, there's a bidding war, and outside evil triangle hat people that goes higher. The bank is not going to change their standards. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, Rudy, what if all the houses get bid over and then it does change the appraisal? Okay, well, then that is a different conversation that will eventually take place as the evil triangle hat people buy all the houses around it. But chances are the evil triangle hat people are going to buy this house, maybe one house in another neighborhood, one house in another one. They're probably not going to buy this house and the 10 of them next to each other. They're not going to probably own the whole street. Now, it happens, but most likely they're going to diversify because a lot of these hedge fund, Wall Street, BlackRock's, Invitation Homes, all these fancy acronym names for groups of people who are just throwing money. Their job is to park money. Now, they're also trained that there's rules for parking that money, which is usually you can't own more than 1 or 2 houses within 10, 20 house block. You can only have so many houses per neighborhood, so many houses per zip code. There are different internal contingencies and strings attached for how to leverage and deploy this capital. Okay? So, yeah, technically you could eventually raise the value of the house by everybody overbidding, but it's more complicated. And on top of that, it's very difficult to get the bank to either get another appraisal, accept a high, it's complicated. And by the time you're doing that to try to get your numbers right, someone else is going to come along and just take it from under you and you're not going to get the house anyways. Timmy and Tammy are going to go back to living in creepy guy's basement. Okay, that's why. That's why, folks. Yeah. So, we're going to erase this, and we're going to move on from real estate, because I just want to explain to you all an example so that we can now leverage the next conversation here, okay? So the next conversation here, we're going to head over to collectibles. Okay? Now we're going to head over to, let's just start with the big boy. Good old Magic the Yu-Gi-Oh-ing. Or we're not going to poke your mom, just Magic the Yu-Gi-Oh-ing. So in Magic, MTG, World of Wizards of the Rudy, Watsy's Coast, Papa Hasbro, this same concept is happening in the world of collectibles. We saw it happen with Pokemon. We saw it happen with new startups. We're seeing it happen right now, as of the filming of this video, with MetaZoo going to the moon. We saw it happen with Flesh and Blood. We saw it happen, obviously, with the Pokemon craze of 2020, 2021. Even though it's come down, it's still super expensive still. It's nowhere near where it used to be years ago. And we're seeing it in Magic on a different type of scale. So first we're going to start with good old MTG. We'll get rid of the evil red marker. We're going to go back to our happy blue. Our happy little blue marker here. Okay? And we're going to put a happy little tree right in this corner. Okay? Nice little happy Florida palm tree. Okay? And that's not a firework, but that's a palm tree. Okay? So don't tell anybody about my happy tree. Now, in the world of Magic, this concept applies to dealing with high-end stuff. Reserve list, sealed boxes, anything that's deemed investable, collectible long-term. Okay? So let's pick on something. What are we going to pick on today? We want to pick on Revise? We always pick on Revise. Weatherlight. Rudy always talks about Weatherlight. Let's pick something different. What are we going to pick on? Let's pick on something weird today. The Dark. That's always a hot... No. Fallen Empires or Homelands. Let's pick on something weird. I like Fallen Empires or Home. Let's pick on Fallen Empires. No. Should we do the Dark? Dark has a lot more reserve lists. Let's do the Dark. Okay. Let's pick on the Dark, okay? Let's get rid of the evil... Let's get rid of this marker. Let's go over to a nice poop brown color. So we're going to go to this nice... the Dark here. All right, let's... Ooh, that's a nice color. I like this one. That's a really nice marker. Cool. Perfect. Okay. So the Dark. This Boxes of the Dark, let's give a little backstory here, everybody. Boxes of the Dark for the longest time were between $400 and $600, okay? So when Rudy started buying Boxes of the Dark, they started out at around $400 a box, okay? Pretty cheap, huh? Well, in the time, even when I bought them for $400 or $500. They were deemed expensive. Very few people wanted them. If it was on eBay in an auction, I wouldn't really get bid against very often. Now, Boxes of the Dark, then I remember I sold one Box of the Dark for $1,000. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this was 2015, 16. I sold a Box of the Dark for $1,000. And I gotta admit, I remember bragging to my family thinking, Mom, Dad, I just sold a Box of the Dark for $1,000. Ladies and gents, I went to 4 to 1,000. I just like 150% returned my money. I went from a double up to 800 and a half a double to 1,000. Boom, bazinga, bamboozle, whatever, whatever you want to say. And I thought I was hot stuff. Then, as years progressed again, Boxes of the Dark recently popped all the way to $3,000 a box. By the way, remember, English. Sorry, I'm not talking about Italian boxes, because there are Italian in the dark. There's also like Italian legends, but we're just focusing on English, folks. And then, in the recent 2020-2021, Boxes of the Dark peaked at $10,000 a box. Pretty crazy, huh? Now, Boxes of the Dark have actually retraced. I'd say a Box of the Dark is probably around $5,000 right now. Okay? So here's the thing. If you want to acquire things like this, you essentially have to, along this timeline of 2015, 2017, 2019. Should I put a year here? Here, let me put a year for you guys. Let me make it a little easier for you. Let's green. So let's put on here, let's put on here so let's start 2015. Let's say what was this? What year was that? Let's see here. 2016. And then let's say this is 2018. And let's say this was 2020. And now we're at 2021. There you go. So let's look at this now. If you essentially wanted to acquire a large position of the dark boxes, you really had to pay. These were the minimum prices you would have had to pay during this time frame. As of filming this video, personal disclosure, I probably own about 20 to 30 boxes of the dark. Okay? The average cost basis is probably, because I started buying here, I bought more here, I'd say my average cost basis is $1,000 a box. Something like that, right? Who cares? Now, along that timeline, when I've commented, Boxes of the Dark were $400, and I said I'm paying $400 to $600, which is because usually I had to overpay to ensure I wanted to expand the position. Okay? When Boxes of the Dark went to $1,000, I remember winning one on eBay for $1,200. I remember winning one I remember buying one on TCG Player for like $11.50. And I think I even bought one in a collection deal in like 2017, which was in between here. I remember buying one in a collection deal for like $1,600. And I remember the gentleman he refused to budge on that. But he had a bunch of other ABU 4 Horsemen set cards, a lot of Arabian Nights singles, and at the time, Bazaar Baghdad. I think he had like a play set of Bazaar Baghdad's, 4 Bazaars in this window here. And Bazaars were like, $500-$600 at the time, and I really wanted the Bazaars, so I felt, since this guy was such a stickler on just the Box of the Dark, even though it was only worth around $1,000, I had to pay him like $1,600, which was like above market price. But he wouldn't really, so I had to kind of shuffle the numbers and just take the whole group. It was like a package collection lot deal, okay? But the point of the story is I had to overpay. And so you're going to learn a concept here that if you want to expand, if you want to buy one box of anything, you just wait, buy your one thing. No big deal. You're not going to compete with the evil triangle hat peoples, the Timmies and the Tammies. You're not going to deal with that. But if you want to accumulate, okay, an evil Rudy, box fort over here. If you want to build a box pyramid and you want to have 25 boxes of the dark, such an illiquid, rare item like that is only going to be attainable by overpaying wherever the market price is. Okay? So if the market price is here, you're going to have to pay $500-$600. Market price is here, you have to buy boxes at $1,100 to $1,300 to accumulate the evil triangle Illuminati. What is that? Illuminati? Can you guys see that? Yeah. In order to do that and accumulate, you're going to have to overpay. Otherwise, you will not be able to get positions in certain items. And in order to justify that, you have to tell yourself that it's okay to overpay because you believe in what you're doing. Does that make sense? You have to believe, folks. So anyways, essentially, as we approach part 3 of this video, you need to understand that the same principle that's being applied to real estate by evil triangle hat, Wall Street hedge fund, infinite money glitch people has been used and is currently being used by wealthier individuals to build positions in collectibles. This has been going on for years because I've done it. Okay, I would only be able to buy. In order to acquire, a large position in a rare item. That's what you have to do. In the moment of any market, whatever you think it's worth, you're going to have to swallow that pill, and you're going to have to stomach the Chuck Norris fist, and you will have to pay more than you're comfortable. If you believe in the item, real estate, a stock, a collectible, cryptocurrency, Rudy coin, I don't know, whatever the hot coin is at this moment. It's probably still Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano is always the hot stuff. If you're into that, whatever you're into, whatever category you're looking at, there are many moments in life you have to overpay, and that's okay. So why do you ask? The point of the why is that it's a battle against yourself, and it's a battle against your own buyer's remorse. Most of you who were around on this channel many years ago, you guys know one of my original videos in 2016 was the birth or the start of Alpha Investments publicly. And in 2016, I made a video, and I told the public that, when I bought my Alpha PSA 10 Underground C, which I don't know what the value is today, maybe $100,000, $150,000 for the card, who knows. When I bought that card for $850, I even showed you guys the original receipt. You can go back to Rudy, type in showing the receipts on my channel, and there's a video where I show the receipts. I found on my old folder of receipts from years ago, I saved them, of me buying PSA 10s. It's a great video, folks. I filmed it in one of the warehouses. I don't think it was this location. It was one of them. Anyways, if you haven't seen that video, I highly encourage it. It's a great video. And I tell people how after I bought that Alpha PSA 10 Underground C, I had buyer's remorse, and I called the company to return the card because an Alpha Underground C was only $400 or $500. And I had paid about $850 or $860 with shipping. I paid about $850 for the card, and it was almost double market price. And I felt like I had such buyer's remorse and regrets and uncomfortableness. I legitimately tried to return it. The only reason I didn't return it is because the company just said, hey, no big deal, but we're going to charge you a 10-20% restocking fee because of the cost and credit card transactions and blah, 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 shipping. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to bust your balls. That's fair. I'll keep the card. That's the only reason I kept the card. Obviously, $850 investment went up 100x, and it's worth $100,000. Still have it. I don't care if it goes to $1 million. I'm never going to sell it. I mean, it's such a piece of me and historical path of what's happened. It doesn't really have a dollar amount to me. And a lot of the things I do on this channel and a lot of things we discuss, those of you who've been around a long time, you've learned that it really, no matter what you'll read or people new to the channel, the money is very secondary because, as I've told everybody, when you start a business or you try to design or build something, if you know what you're doing and you're very passionate about it, the money will come naturally. You don't need to try to scam people. You don't need to try to manipulate people. Just build the business, enjoy it, put tons of hours. I'm talking, if you're not doing minimum 60 hours a week, then I'm sorry, you're a slacker and you're lazy and you're making up fake excuses that you don't have time. Please, you're watching stupid stuff and you're watching Netflix, you're watching YouTube, blah, blah, blah. The point is, I knew eventually the money would come. Now, I never imagined in a million years things would get to this level of how expensive, and how big the channel and everything's gotten, but I knew the concept in the fundamental principle of alpha investments and collectibles would hold true long term. And it did, a little bit better than I thought, but that's really the history there. So, I knew a lot of this stuff and I've applied it, but it's interesting to see why this is happening in 2021 with new categories like real estate and all this other stuff. Because now that I've given you all this example, I think that makes more sense on why you see these crazy price ranges. Because remember, a lot of people always look at these charts and go, who would pay this? Like, think about this, folks. Here, hold on. Do we have a box? Here, hold on. Who would pay $3,000 for a box of the dark when they were $400 24 months ago? Who would pay that? Well, if you did, the box went to $10,000. But Rudy, who would pay $10,000? You'd be a moron. Well, if you did, you lost half your money. See, it's a scam, it's a bubble, it's the same one box being traded to 20 investors. Whatever stupid thing you want to hear on the internet. It's hilarious. What is this? Modern Masters 20, God, Modern Masters 25, the paperwork from the pallet. When Modern Masters 25, Masters 25 came out. God, feels like yesterday, February 15th, 2018. This was 3.5 years ago. God, time flies, man. It feels like Masters 25 was yesterday, man. God. And that's, you know, I tell everyone that stuff, man. People are so obsessed and emotional on these short-term little upticks or downticks. You don't realize how short and how fast life goes by. If you don't pay attention, you miss it. And if you're emotional and angry, you miss it. You don't think straight. And when you step back, and you just, like I always say, everybody, you know, talking or discussing this stuff and asking questions is important. But the most important trait and attribute of any successful person is to just do less and just do less and sit back and watch everybody else. Watch people make fun of you. Watch people make their moves. Watch things go up, watch things go down, and just sit back and watch. By listening and watching, you'll acquire more knowledge and skill long term than anything else in this world. It is by far the most valuable item on the skill tree. If this was, you know, Diablo 2 or Diablo 2 Remastered or PoE, Boulder's Gate or whatever you're playing, you know, at the end of the day, paying attention and learning from patterns and rhythm and repetition is so valuable. And, you know, you can't let emotions cloud this stuff. So I thought you guys would understand this is why these things happened. This is how I was able to do this. Why I was comfortable buying 20, 30 boxes of the dark? Because I believed in it. And even today, even at $5,000 a box, if somebody contacted me with a case of 10 boxes of the dark and said, Rudy, I want 50 grand for a case of 10 boxes of the dark, you know, I'd probably do it. I'd pay 50 grand for 10 boxes of the dark. I would. Now, do I believe there's cases of the dark and stuff out there? Probably not. Do I think there's some loose boxes out there? Sure. Do I think there are thousands of boxes left in the world of the dark? No. I don't even think there is 1,000 boxes of the dark left in the world. And that's the funny thing about life, folks. So now we're going to move to another part of this video. Thought you guys would appreciate all that. So let's go to something different here. I'm leaving my palm tree. Don't make fun of my palm tree. And I'm going to stand by the palm tree here. Here's Rudy. You know that's me. Look at the size of my hat. That's the size of my effing hat, bro. Okay. So, next in part 3 of this video, let's talk about something different, shall we? Let's talk about, should we talk about Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo, or should we talk about reserveless singles? What should we go and do? Let's jump into, let's do a Flesh and Blood. Let's get some thumbs down. There's usually not enough thumbs down. Too many people like this. If we have a Flesh and Blood segment, thumbs down will pick up. So today we're going to talk about Fab. Here's a Fab box. There you go. It's a 3D picture of a Fab box. Fab. Which box should we pick on? Should we pick on Monarch? Or is it still too soon? Let's pick on Monarch. Let's pick on Monarch. Monarch First Edition. Mon to 1K, right? Right? To the moon. Monarch to 1K, right? I think I'm known for that by now. It's hilarious. I love it. It's so much fun. Okay, so let's talk about Monarch. Obviously, Monarch First Edition Flesh and Blood came out, peaked at $650 a box. Okay, so 2 boxes at the peak would have been $1,300. Obviously, for those of you who are not aware, I ran my Patreon sale and I sold 2 boxes of Monarch First Edition, plus the promo, the cold foil and the playmat for $1,000, $9.99 and 69 cents giggity. So for $1,000, I sold 2 boxes plus the promo items. As of the filming this video, Monarch First Edition boxes bottomed at $200, and as of the filming this video, Monarch First Edition boxes are $280 each, shipped to your door with taxes or whatever, or maybe plus tax on eBay. So obviously, from a peak of $650 to $280, that's a pretty big decline. That's about 50%. 50% off the highs, or 55% off the highs. Okay? The promo items are actually still quite valuable. I think the promo playmats are like $100 still, and I think the card's like $300. So technically, the promo items are still $400 plus. Yeah, I guess technically you're still up a few percent before fees. Not really. Call it break even. Not really that exciting. So what's going to happen next is the real question. All right. So now on part 4 of this video, what's going to happen next? Well, full disclosure, I now have a good solid 1,000 and change boxes. So the Rudy Pyramid has been rebuilt over here of Monarch First Edition. I think I'm probably around, let's say, 1,100 boxes in the Rudy Vault, the RV, the Rudy Vault. Here, hold on. RV. Here you go. There's the wheels for the Rudy RV. I have too much fun doing this. And yeah, that's what happened. So the market tanked. I started buying more boxes again at $200 when the market tanked. A lot of people sold me their boxes at $200 because they felt it was going to go all the way down to 50, 60 bucks and Flesh and Blood was a bubble and it finally crashed and the investors and nobody plays the game and it's a fake international money laundering scam. I don't know, whatever you want to say. Anyway, who cares? So here's the thing about this. As with all markets, prices tend to overshoot to the upside and overshoot to the downside. I agree that I thought 650 was a little too high. I thought that was a little too high for release. I thought the boxes were going to peak at about 600. Okay, that's what I thought. But they actually broke to actually maybe a little higher. I think there were some sold listings, like 680. So a little higher than I thought. But I also knew 200, that rubber band was being pulled way too low for fear and FUD and panic and uncertainty and doubt. And so which means the true price is probably somewhere in the middle. Well, the middle of 650 and 200, what is that, 425 range? I do believe that in the next 90 days, especially post Tales of Aria, once the market sees what's going to happen, I think Monarch First Edition is going to level out at that 350, 400 range. And I think that's kind of a fair, normal price. And my rationale for that is that I still believe an Alpha box should probably be 10K. I think an Arc box should maybe be 5K. A Crew box should be 2K. A Mon box I still think will be 1K. And I think the new Tales box should be 500. I guess there's no K, sorry. Boop. Let's kind of make that a little nicer. And 500, how about that? I think that's going to kind of be the longer term goal here. I believe it or not, I actually think the launch of Tales is going to really catch a lot of people off guard because a lot of stores backed away. A lot of people got burned. A lot of people didn't like it. You're going to see a lot of people kind of step back, which is actually going to make this an even better opportunity than Monarch because people are going to use a previous experience in previous price memory and apply that to a new product even though there's no real correlation to how the market works. I actually believe that situations like that are good. Similar to what happened with Pokemon after the XY Sun and Moon era, the negativity of evolutions and Sun and Moon and Crimson and all these things created so much negativity, it spawned a tremendous opportunity for the future era of Sword and Shield and Vivid Voltage and all these Darkness Ablaze and of course, all these new Chilling Reigns and battle styles and all this stuff. Because people like me, and I even screwed that up, applied that price memory of Pokemon failure print to oblivion. It was that knowledge, the automatic workings of the human mind, applied that to the future Pokemon sets, creating a very invalid, bad perspective in which even I screwed up on. So because of that, it bred a lot of opportunity in Pokemon. And I believe right now Pokemon is a strong 5-star, 2 tacos up in the basement dweller unprofessional opinion. And I really like battle styles and Chilling Reign and all this stuff. I'm a big fan. And even after the battle styles drop, I was able to accumulate a couple hundred boxes from a bunch of people in stores that were panic selling because the price tanked. And I believe that long term, just with everything, long term the data and the market will speak for itself. And a lot of people are going to regret it. So when we look at what's going to happen here, what I think is going to happen is every time you have a new product release, every time you go from the next set to the next set, there's always a new flare-up in new players, new stores carrying the game. Every product of Flesh and Blood, like even Tales, there's still actually about 15 to 18%, according to distributors, 15 to 18% new accounts carrying it for stores, which is not as aggressive as Monarch First Edition. If you look at distribution level and you have access to internal numbers, you would know that from Crucible, when we went from Crucible to Monarch, excuse me, the amount of stores requesting Monarch for the first time ever as a Flesh and Blood product skyrocketed. We're talking 500-600 new accounts who've never sold Flesh and Blood started carrying the product line. Well, for Tales, after coming from Monarch, it's only maybe 100, maybe 150 new accounts. Still a positive growth trajectory, no negative. So again, the few stores that probably canceled were probably 50 stores stopped carrying Flesh and Blood and maybe 200 picked it up, which gives you a net change of 150. Does that make sense? Still in a positive net direction. Now, I think because of that, you're noticing that we originally went through very parabolic movement. So initially, the amount of stores carrying Flesh and Blood was skyrocketing. And now, it's more normal, like this. So the rate of change is more normal. So if you put that on a curve, or you do some sort of fancy little geometry, graphing, calculus, you'll notice that the velocity of change, the rate of change, has been more normalized. Still an overall upward trajectory, but it's at a more sustainable, realistic path. This is sustainable. This is not sustainable. That is when growing pains in a product really starts getting traction. This is what MetaZoo is going through right now. Eventually, MetaZoo will go this way. Now, the million-dollar question everybody wants to know is, after this, and you reach Rudy's giant hat in his palm tree, does the line keep going, or do you experience a retrace? That's where the true colors are going to come out for longevity of any CCG. Historically, most CCGs don't even experience that. If they do experience this, they also experience this immediately. Force of Will went through that because they screwed up and they were morons. Good old Millennia of Ages. When you screw up and get cocky, you ride your wave and you crash it back. Now, so far, Flesh and Blood has prevented that. MetaZoo is probably about in this area here. So we don't know what's going to happen. But based on the discussions I've had with distributors in the company, I think MetaZoo is going to prevent a full-blown collapse, but it'll be interesting to see how they stabilize. It does look good at this point in time, though, because the market is just far happier than I even anticipated the market would be. It's just people are enjoying it as just fun. And most people don't care about playing the game. It's like Pokemon. Pokemon in the 90s when I was a kid, I don't know anybody who played Pokemon. Maybe I remember seeing some people play, like walking by in school or a library or like Books A Million or like Electronics Boutique. But most people didn't care. Everybody just wanted to collect, and everybody just liked the cards. People didn't really care about the gameplay or power level. That didn't mean anything. So when you look at all this stuff, so far Flesh and Blood is still the real thing. And I am very comfortable putting tremendous money, my name on the line, being a part of it, helping the company, discuss it, spread the word, help sell the product. I have no problems with that. Again, I really believe the principle of the game and the design and engineering of the first edition, and then players, if you just want to enjoy the game really cheap, the decks are cheap, unlimited boxes are pennies on the dollar, cheapest unlimited boxes in the industry. I mean, it makes Magic look expensive. It's really interesting. And, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, which is why we got the Rudy RV, and I've been buying and accumulating first edition boxes because I believe in it. And that's really all I have to say about that concept. But the point is, why did I decide to do that? Why is the market repricing from $650 to $200? Because originally, I believe a couple things. Why I'm doing this is because I believe in the game. Okay? Why I believe we went from $650 to $200 is because a lot of stores and a lot of people entered the market, similar to Pokemon, who had no interest in the game itself. They didn't care. They didn't want to keep it. They didn't want to be a part of it. But they essentially just tried to buy in at maybe $500-600 to flip at $1,000. And it didn't happen, so it got flushed out and had a very bearish retracement. I don't really think that's overall that much of an end of the world thing. Okay? I think it's kind of healthy to kind of, like I talked about in Pokemon. Pokemon has been re-leveling itself. Let me back up. Why is Pokemon crashing? Why did Pokemon? Because Pokemon had to flush out the people who had no business being there. Flesh and Blood had to go back to flush out the people who don't care about it. They were just trying to jump in and out, the old in and outers, giggity. And I believe now that we've passed that, the game Pokemon in Flesh and Blood, and even Magic and some of the other card games that I don't talk about much, the Digimons, the Yu-Gi-Ohs, the Final Fantasies, the Dragon Ball Super, it puts them in a stronger position moving forward to add more stability and credibility to the market, which I think is a net long-term positive, even though it was a short-term negative. And that's something a lot of people don't focus on because they don't obsess their whole life like I do, thinking about this stuff 24/7. Okay? That's really what I'm getting at. That's really kind of the close of this. I think I might cut it off there. I mean, we're almost like 40-minute video. I just think I want people to learn and understand. I guess I can do a closing statement here for a few minutes. I guess I don't really need to cut it off that quickly, I guess. Why not? End it here at the very end of the video. I don't want to cut off yet. Let me wrap it up here. I just feel that the real world doesn't understand the amount of money, the amount of players, the amount of people, the amount of distributors, the amount of stores. I don't think the general public in the real world understands what's really happening every day. I feel most people online and younger individuals who may be joining the market or have no experience in this market, they're very emotional. They're very volatile. They call, MetaZoo is, MetaPoo and a scam, which is a funny word. Or they think flesh and blood. And I've seen some of the craziest stuff. Even with Pokemon, I've seen some of the craziest things between scalpers and manipulation. I've seen some of the most wild stuff over the years. And to this day, I still see new things that blow my mind. And I guess I become more concerned if that kind of negativity stops. As long as we see the skepticism, I think the bull market will continue in collectibles. The day everybody thinks Flesh and Blood Monarch is going to go to $2,000 is the day that we're probably going to be in some serious trouble. Because whenever everybody agrees on the same thing, that is usually the sign of a top or a bubble. But the fact there's so many people that refuse to get involved with MetaZoo or even Pokemon nowadays, or Flesh and Blood and all these things, and even reserveless Magic. A lot of people to this day refuse to get involved with reserveless, because any day the reserveless is going to be reprinted, it's all going to go to zero. Or even just hold on to sealed product of anything. I mean, I can look over here, these pre-release cases. These are my leftover pre-release kits. I did variety kits for pre-releases to the patrons years ago. These are random loose ones. That's an Oath of the Gatewatch, Amon Ket, Kaladesh pre-release kits. Every time I see these things, I remember the history and story of what I went through with these product releases over the years. And the number one thing that stands out when I look at Core 2019, Rivals of Ixalan, Guilds of Ravnica, Kaladesh, Core 2020, when I look at Oath of the Gateway, the biggest thing is when I see those things, I don't see what you all see and think, oh man, I remember those are expensive now. That's usually what people say. Oh, Kaladesh, those are expensive. They got the lottery cards. Oh man, Amon Ket. Man, that was that Egyptian set that had the weird cards that nobody wanted, or it's expensive now. And, I look back at those things and I remember like Amon Ket. Stores couldn't sell it. Mass box openers lost 30-40%. The lottery cards tanked because people couldn't read the cards. Distributors and allocation period was cut short because Wizards wasn't selling much. I look back, I see the whole thing differently. And what's really become obvious is that as the time goes on, there's no real difference from Amon Kitty Cat or Rivals of Ixalan to Adventures in Forgotten Realm, Dungeons & Dragons, a D&D set in 2021. There's no real difference. I mean, Oath of the Gatewatch, what year was this? 20 what? 16? 15? Where's the year on this thing? How old is this thing? Wizards of the Coast, is there no year on this thing? Maybe there's no year. That sucks. I was hoping there'd be a year. It's gotta be 2015 or something? I look back at that, I'm like, that was 5-6 years ago, folks. And nothing's changed. And we have this concept, just like in the stock market, that we always believe we missed out. The easy money's been made. We're not going to experience another price increase. That I get that all the time. I hear it with Monarch at $300 a box now. I hear that with reserveless Magic. Well, Rudy, Bazaar of Baghdad's like $3,000. I missed out. Well, yeah, you missed out from the previous era. But in the next 5-10 years, Bazaar of Baghdad at $3,000 is going to be considered cheap by the relative scales of everything. You have to remember that. 10 years ago, $600 for a Bazaar was deemed crazy. But at the same time, 10 years ago, they didn't have a case of 6 collector boxes for $1,500. A case back then, everything by relative scales were cheaper. And you remember, there is a macro impact on a lot of things that impact the prices, even if the item itself doesn't appreciate. And that's really inflation and outside variables. When inflation and wages and other things happen, and you have a government that's just helicoptering money and printing and allowing all these very strange things in the market, so the market's not behaving normally, and you're interfering with the free market, you're going to experience a lot of excessive gains and weird price movements that don't seem natural. And we are experiencing that, and I expect it to continue. And that alone will flare up. It's like putting gasoline. It will flare up the price of many items that really have no business going up. And I believe that will continue also. And the biggest thing is, as I wrap this video up, is the sad part is First of all, most people aren't going to be watching 45 minutes into this video. If you are, give me a hashtag. Oh, hold on. We got something. My other phone was going off. Sorry. If you're still watching 45 minutes in this video, give me like a hashtag. I don't know. Give me something in the comments. Give me a hashtag Rudy's top hat or something. Rudy's top hat. Give me something. Hashtag Rudy's top hat, and I'll know if you actually watched 45 minutes into this video. But the conclusion is, I don't believe most people, even in 2021, are going to take this information seriously. I don't think most people in 2021 are going to keep sealed product the same, just like 5 years ago. You know, oh, Rudy, you got sealed product investing's dead, everybody. All of Rudy's got 10,469,669 patrons and 0.69 midget patrons. That's how many patrons he has, and they're all filled with basements of sealed product. There's so much sealed product, it's investors selling each other, it's never going to go up. They said that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 3 years ago, last year, and they're saying it today. And I'm here to tell you all that nothing has fundamentally changed. The sealed products today, just like sealed products of Theros last year, just like the products before that, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. The more you think things change, the more they stay the same. What happens is you feel differently as we get older, but nothing has actually changed except your perspective. And that alone makes you believe that the world has shifted. The world hasn't really shifted, but it's evolved some. But the flow of everything and the principles of everything, whether you're investing in stocks or rental houses or collectibles, the principles of everything are still intact. They will be in 5 years, they will be in 50 years, just like they were 5 years ago and 50 years ago. Nothing has changed. And the sad part is, most people will not take advantage of it, and they're still going to live in the moment. And you're going to watch this video, and in 2, 3, 4 years from now, you're going to remember me talking about Monarch First Edition boxes for $200. You're going to remember me talking about Tales of Aria. I think it's like $150 a box right now. It's super cheap. I'd highly recommend that. You know, you're going to remember me talking about these things. And the prices are going to be way higher, and you're going to regret it. Because most people are going to turn this video off, and this time tomorrow, you're not even going to remember this video. Have a great day, everybody. Hope you learned something. At least one person did.